And in this video, we will have a look at implicit intents. So implicit intents do not name a target. The field for the component name is basically blank. So implicit intents are often used to activate components in other applications. So let's quickly have a look at how can we apply that in a simple example. Right, so for this example, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the layout of this application. So we're just going to have a few buttons to illustrate this. So I'm going to zoom in there. There's my normal relative layout. So I'm going to go into the text part and I'm going to delete the relative layout and make this a linear layout. I'm also going to remove the padding and add Android orientation vertical. I'm going to remove the text view there and let's go back to design. Okay, so on the left hand side at the component tree, you should have a linear layout that's vertical. And on this linear layout, I want to drag in two buttons. For now, we're going to add two buttons later on again. But for the first two buttons, we're going to have, let's go to all properties. We set the margin on the left to 15, right 15, top 15. And I think that should be fine. Let's leave it at that. Now for the first button, we're going to call that first button btn call. For the second button, we're going to have btn call friend. Right, so that one will just call somebody, and that one will actually call a friend. So let's go into the strings XML and just add the values for those buttons. So we're going to go to the strings XML, and we're going to add a new string there. And that will be for btn call. And we're just going to say something like place a call. Place a call. And then for the other string, it will be btn call friend. And we can say something like call best friend or something like that. We're going to save it, go back to activity main. Let's just open it up again. On the first button, go to text, and we called it btn call. So just select it, place a call, and for that one, we called it btn call friend. And now the two buttons have both got IDs and they've got the test correctly set up. So let's go to the main activity and set up those two buttons quickly. So we're going to have a button, and the first one is called btn call, and the other one will be btn call friend. Let's set them up in the onCreate quickly. So we're going to say btn call equals button, find the view by its ID, and the ID for the button is btn call. Then for btn call friend, we will have button, capital B, find the view by its ID, r.id.btn call friend. Okay, and then set up the two buttons quickly with an set on click listener there. Set on click listener new, just start typing on and it will give you that inline method. So there's the on click listener for the first button, and then we're going to say btn call friend dot set on click listener again, and passing in new on click listener, and it creates the two button clicks or button click events for us. So when we call a new person, we will just click on btn call and it will go into this method. If we want to call your friend, it's going to click on the button, it's going to go to on click here. Okay, so let's see how this works. So in order to call somebody, let's go to the first button there, which is btn call. We're going to create a new intent. Remember that intents carries messages on what needs to be happened or what needs to happen. And with explicit intents, we indicated as an intent to activate a specific activity. And in this case, it's something just a bit different. So we're going to say new intent, and then we're going to say intent dot action, and you can see there's an action dial option. And then we will just say start activity, and then passing in the intent. So you can see that I've not passed in a specific activity to start. I'm just basically shouting out to the system, is there an application on this phone that can help me with this action dial? And that will normally be any type of application that can actually dial a call or dial a number. So let's quickly run this and see how this works on a phone. So quickly get your phone running. We'll come back to it now. Okay, so my app is up and running, and you can see I've got the two buttons there, call best friend and place a call. So if I click on place a call now, it will shout out to the system of the phone and just saying, is there an app out there that can help me with this action dial? So if I click on place a call, you'll see that the phone's default dialer will come up, and I can type a number and then dial the number that I want to dial. So this is a very simple form of an implicit intent. So I'm not coding anything else or calling anything else inside of my own application, but I'm shouting out to the system, is there an application out there that can help me with the action dial? And if there is something that can help you with the action dial, it will pop up. If there's more than one, it will give you a choice, and we're going to have a look at that now. So let's say we want to create an app that will actually also activate when we call on any app the action dial. So I'm going to create a new application for this one. So I'm going to say file, new, and I'm going to say new project. So let's create a new project. I'm going to call this project, let's call it dummy phone. And let me just go to next there. And next, that will be fine, which is an empty activity and the main activity and so forth. So I'm creating a new dummy phone application. And this dummy phone application, we will see how we can have this application of ours actually respond to that action dial. So let's say you want to create your own application where you want to design your own dialer. So every time some other app wants to dial and they've installed your app on their phone, then your app can also respond to that. Okay, so it's done loading. Let's go to the layout folder quickly and open up that layout file. And inside of the layout, you can see I'm now at the dummy phone one. So that's not the one that we started with. So if I go to text, I'm going to change this to a linear layout. And I'm going to change it, all the paddings there, just remove it. And we're going to go with an orientation of vertical and then remove that text view. We could have left it there, but it doesn't matter. Let's just drag in a text view again. I'm going to set the margin on that one, the left, the right, left 15, right 15, let's say top 15 and bottom 15. Okay, then click on it again. Let's go back to the bottom. I'm going to set this text style to bold, the size to 18. And I think that's fine. So there's the text view. And then let's go to the strings XML quickly. So you're going to open up your values strings XML. Remember, this is now a new strings XML for the new app, so it will be different. Don't worry if you don't see your other strings here. It's because this is a new app. So let's call this message. And we will just say something like, I am just kidding. I cannot really place a call. Okay, so this will just be a dummy type of app. I'm just kidding, I cannot really place a call. If you want, you can go and create an app that can actually place a call if you're going to create the buttons and so forth. So for this one now, let's go to the activity main, and you can see that I'm just kidding. I cannot really place a call. So if you want to go and set that text there, let me just zoom in again. You go to the text property and you select that message that we created now in the strings XML. So in the strings XML, it's called message. Go to activity main XML, choose it there as, well, you can just start typing message and it pops up, and that's the message that we're going to display to the user. I'm just kidding. Spelling mistake. I cannot really place a call. So let's just save that. It will look something like this. So when this app starts, that's what's going to happen. But now, how do we let this app respond to the actions on, let's say, the action dial or something like that? So I'm just going to minimize this one. So you'll see there in the intent, we had intent action dial. So that's the action that this specific app of ours should respond to now. So if we go to our app, and that's now the dummy phone app, we can go into the Android manifest file, and you can see that we've got an intent filter there that says that the main activity is the main one that should launch, and that's the launcher activity. So we're going to create a new intent filter. So we're going to say intent filter there, close it down, and then we can start inside of that intent filter by adding another action command there. So we're going to say action Android name, and we're going to use Android.intent.dial, which means that we're going to activate this specific app of ours, or we're going to filter out the intents that comes in as the dial action. We also need to add a category there, and that category will just be the default one. So just set up your intent filter like this, and now it means that it's going to filter through for intents with the action dial command. So if I go back to my main activity there, or the implicit intents main activity, we had intent equals new intent with the action dial there. So the action dial then, if this shouts out to the system, is there an app that can help me with the action dial? Then in this manifest, we filter out and we pick up that action dial, which means that this application will actually launch when that shout out occurs. So let's run this application, the dummy phone, quickly on our Nexus device as well, our virtual device. So there's the virtual device. You can see it's currently just running implicit intents. And if we click on place a call, it wants us to place a call by just typing the number. But now if this app runs now, let's just wait for it to run quickly. Okay, so there's the dummy phone running. It says, I'm just kidding, cannot really place a call. So I'm going to remove this app now from memory. Going to remove it, going to remove the phone. So we are back at implicit intents, the normal app. So if I click on place a call now, you can see that it gives me a choice between the phone's own dialer and my dummy phone. So if I click on dummy phone now and say just once, don't say always, otherwise you won't have that choice again, then it's going to say, I'm just kidding, I cannot really place a call. But if I click on the phone, click on phone there, it opens up the dialer again. So now this app of mine called dummy phone can respond to these implicit intents by adding an intent filter and filtering out for that specific action. Okay, let's go back to the main activity, and on the second button we're going to add something there. So in the second button we're going to say intent equals new intent, and basically the same thing again. We're going to say intent.action dial, and then as a second argument I'm going to add URI, uniform resource identifier type class, and we're going to pass the following data, and that data is in the form of a telephone number now. So I'm just going to type any telephone number there, something like that, and then I'm going to say start activity, and I'm going to pass in the intent. So can you see the difference now between the two? The first button has got just the action dial action, and then this one has got the action dial action, but it's got some extra data with it as well. So let's run this again, run implicit intents again on the phone. Let's see what happens. There we go. So I'm going to click on place a call, and you can see it wants to place a call to dummy phone or to the normal phone. If I say call best friend now, you can see it gives me the phone as the dialer, but it automatically sends the number with it. So that's the extra data that we placed there on the URI.pass on the second argument, passing in the telephone number of, and you can see it's the exact same telephone number that we're passing through, 082-343-3436-754. So it's the exact same telephone number that we're passing through. And now the user can just click on call. But did you see that if I go back, if I click on the first button, it gives me a choice of dummy phone. But if I click on the second button, I did not get that choice. Okay, so how can we correct that one? Let's quickly go back to dummy phone. So on the intent filter, basically what we need is to go and add another category or another component there, which is the data component. And that must be the Android scheme. And the one that we need to have here is the telephone number one. Okay, so that's the extra data that will use tell. So if I go back to my main activity in the implicit intents one, you can see there I indicate it's tell type of data, which means it's a telephone number that I'm passing through. So in this case, I want to also pop up if it's data that was passed through. Okay, so let's run this dummy phone again, or this dummy app on the phone. Let's just see it run quickly. There it goes. Okay, let's remove that from memory now. And the phone dialer, let's get back to implicit intent. So if I click on call best friend now it gives me a choice again, because now I've added the data part, so it accepts the telephone number as well. If I click on dummy phone and I say just once, you'll see it just says again, I'm just kidding, cannot really place a call. If I click on place a call now, you can see that my option was not given there for the dummy phone. See that again, place a call, no option again. But the option is when we say call best friend. So you can see that's two different intent filters. So I'm going to copy this intent filter quickly and paste it as a second one. And then I can just remove the data part there, because this one will be for the normal dial and that one will be for the dial with the telephone number. Let's run it again. There's the phone. There's the dummy phone. I'm going to remove it again. Now let's see. If I click on place a call, it gives me the option for dummy phone. If I click on call best friend, it gives me the option for the dummy phone. Okay, so now the last thing that I want to quickly show you is, because we are sending through data, if I say call best friend and I click on the phone there, you can see that it gives me the telephone number. So if I want to use that on my own application that I've created, the dummy phone, if I say call best friend and I click on dummy phone, and let's say we want to now show the telephone number there, how can we do that? So in the main activity, I'm going to quickly link up this text view. So this text view, I'm almost sure we called it TV message. So let's just go there and call it TV message. Okay, so it's TV message. Go to activity main or main activity, and let's quickly set up that text view. So it's going to be text view, and we call it TV message. And then in set content view, just after that, we're going to set it up. So it's text TV message as a text view. And then we're going to use the find by view by ID method, r.id.tv message, and then close it off. And then we will test the following. So we're going to say if get intent, which is the intent that activated this activity. So in this case, it could be that intent, that implicit intent that shouts out, sending the number through, can you please dial something for me? So that will be the intent. And on that intent object, we're going to call the get data method. And if that object is equal to null, or that value returned is equal to null, then we know that, or it's not equal to null, then we know we've got some data. If it is equal to null, we will just go to TV message and set the text as, let's say, no number given. But if it's not equal to null, we can now set to TV message. Let's set the text. And we set the text as get intent dot get data, the one that we tested for in the if statement, and then call the toString method. So that will then set that number as text to the screen. So let's save this quickly and run this app again. I'm going to run dummy phone again, and let's see what the output will be for us. Okay, so now you can see dummy phone is running again, and it says no number given. So if I remove this from memory now, and we go back to implicit intents, and we say call best friend, that's the one that sends the data, and I'm going to say complete dummy phone and just say just once, and you can see there's the telephone number. But if I use the other one, place a call and then use dummy phone, that one does not send a number, so it will just say no number given. Now for the last part of this video, let's just complete the main activity of the implicit intents by adding some 2 more buttons there and looking at some other implicit intents that we can use as well. So I'm going to add 2 new buttons there. So I'm just going to drag the 2 buttons, click on both of them, and I'm going to set in view all properties, I'm going to set the layout margins to left 15, right 15, and top 15. Okay, so it will look like this, and on that button I'm going to call this one btn map, and this one I'll call btn web. Okay, so 2 buttons. Let's quickly go to the strings XML and set up the strings for those 2. So it's going to be string btn underscore map. And then we're going to just say something like show map. And then for the next one, for the next button, it will be btn underscore web. And this one will say show, let's say www.google, or let's make it cut.ac.za. Okay, so that's the text. And now if we go back to the button, go to the text property, and let's say the first one should be the map one, and the second one should be the web one. Okay, so we've got show map and show the website. That one is btn map, this one is btn web. So let's go back and add those 2 buttons quickly. So we'll have a btn map and a btn web. Right, let's set them up quickly in coding. So it's going to be btn map equals, that's also a button, find the view by its ID. Find the view by its ID, r.id.btn map. And then for the btn web, it will also be button, find the view by its ID, and it's going to be btn web. Okay, so we've set up those 2. Let's just set up the on-click listeners. So it's going to be btn map.set on-click listener, and it's going to be a new on-click listener for that one. And then for the last button, it will be btn web.set on-click listener, and it's going to be new on-click listener. And now everything is set up. So if we want to show a map to the user using an implicit intent, we're going to do the following. It will also be intent equals new intent. But now instead of saying intent dot action dial, we're going to use the action view, because you normally view a map and a web page. And then for a map, for the second argument, you're going to need to use the uniform resource identifier, android.net, and you're going to use the parse method there. Now in the parse method, you need to pass a string there, but this string is going to have some extra data called geo. So remember, with calling the friend, we said this data should be a telephone number. So this one should be a geo point. So we're going to start off with the coordinates at 0, 0. And then we're going to add a question mark and a Q for query, and then the equal sign. And after that, you can now start typing your address. Let's say it's going to be 115 Stateway, Welkom in the Free State, for example. Okay, so that's your geolocation. So that part you need to have at the front, geo, and then 0, 0, your first coordinate on the map, and then it's going to move to whatever is after your Q there. So we're saying 115 Stateway, Welkom, Free State. Is there an app on the phone that can view this geo point? So obviously the Google Maps application will then pop up and say, well, I can help you. We'll get to that now. So we're going to start the activity then and just pass in the intent. Okay, so that will open up the web page and go to this location. Now for the last part, we're going to look at that now on the phone when we're done with the coding. So to show a website, it's basically the same thing. We're going to say intent equals new intent, and then pass in intent.actionView, because you also view a web page, and then you're going to go to URI.parse, and then what you need to pass in there will be the web page. So you're going to say HTTP or HTTPS, and then just start typing. In this case, we want to have cut.ac.za. and that's the web page that will be displayed. So we're going to say start activity and passing in that intent. Okay, so for the web page is action view, and for the map it's also action view, but the data that you send as the second argument is obviously different. This is a geolocation and this is a website. If we run this now on the app, you can see that the two buttons has been added there, the show map and the show www.cut.ac.za. So if I go to show map, you can see it shouts out to the system, is there an application that can help me to show a specific location? In this case, yes, the Google Maps application will do that for you, and it will go to whatever you type there in coding and it will take you to that specific location. Let's go back. If I click on show www.cut.ac.za, the one that we've indicated there, we're shouting out to the system again, is there an app that can help me to show www.cut.ac.za as a web page? And then all of your browsers will be listed and you can choose the correct one. And that's it for implicit intents.